Hi, it's Alex Jarett with another Spotlight interview, this time with Anna Tatar, who is the managing partner of a senior executive level advisory firm called ThinkScale. Hi, Anna. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me.
It's great to talk to you. We've known each other for a little while now. You've been a member of our community for over a year now, and you decided to join the Board of Advisor program, which we appreciate. And I'm really excited to help you tell your story and share some of your wisdom to our community.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So tell us about ThinkScale. What do you all do and who do you help?
So as you've mentioned, ThinkScale is an executive level advisory firm, and literally the simplest way to put that is we focus on growth and transformation within an organization. But funny enough, I think back on the event that I attended at the end of the year last year with Sims. And the nominees CIOs of the year, they were asked this question, what's the most overused word out
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
And through their ideas, I think this question always pops in my head every so often. I think the word's going to be transformation. So I guess when I say that we're growth and transformation, I wanted to dive deeper quickly to say what I mean by that. As we think that the world is more chaotic becoming, or that the world has gone crazy,
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's the issue. I feel like it's more around the complexity that we're getting to learn more and more about. So through ThinkScale, we help organizations and at the executive level to break down that complexity into clarity, to see where the misalignments are happening. And it's really on business level, it's all about people, your leadership and employees. It's all about technology. Obviously, AI is the word these days, and AI transformation, but not only the whole holistic technology piece within organization. And then business at your customers, understanding what your clients need and want, and then understanding what your investors need and want. That's the impact on
Mhm.
business. So that's what we do. We're looking through these misalignments, identify them, create adequate solutions, and then actually create measurable enterprise level results and outcomes for the companies.
That's a mouthful. Well, you said a lot though. And let me see if I can break it down and see if I heard you correctly, because it sounds like you really help these companies. We were talking, getting ready for this, and you said something really insightful, which is it's not that the world is getting more complex, it's that we're becoming more aware of the complexity. That's a really great statement. I really like that. And I think you're right. Who are we to
Mhm.
think that we know everything? We don't. But all these systems that you're talking about people, technology, and business. And I've talked to you before. I think one of your premises is that these are the three major ecosystems, and that's where your capital is applied to. And you help them look at the whole scenario at a strategic level to see how they can drive growth. That's what I've really been hearing as we talk. Am I hearing that right?
Correct. Bottom line, any organization today, and you and I
Yes.
have had several conversations, I find that they have only two goals. No,
Yes.
I don't care what industry you're in, what you do as service, the product that you offer, you want to create economic value. So somebody wants and needs and willing to spend their hard-earned dollars for it,
Yep.
money of any kind of currency for that matter. And you want to make sure that value is realized by humanity. What I'm saying by that is that we can create something, or we may have a great idea, but are people open and capable of realizing it, making it happen, actually bringing that innovation into life? Do they have enough mental and intelligent capacity? And then do they have enough mental intelligent capacity to use that? I use a cell phone as an example always,
Yeah.
but in this case, it could have been a great idea in the world. But if we couldn't make it happen, nor once it's on the market, people can't use it or
Yeah.
can't adjust and adapt it fairly well. But look right now, right? Mobile was a part of the workforce transformation, how
That's
we
right.
do business right now, right? Internet was the kind of the last major wave, if you think about it. Part of it was the mobile piece. We're not only working on the PCs, we work on mobile. What I mean by this is that when you deal with such a multifaceted and complex, I do believe the world is complexity is reality at the end of the day.
Yes.
But if we focus just on, oh, the world is crazy and it's complex, and there's AI transformation, there's geopolitical things, there are governance and regulations, and then you throw technology innovation of any kind on it, of course it becomes overwhelming. And
Yes.
I find that the executives at this point right now, it's not a lack of intelligence that we can't
Yeah.
conquer through it. It's that multi-layer, multifaceted complexity that we're dealing with, that if you start breaking it down and make it more clear, where is that misalignment really happening? Then you actually create meaningful solutions that do result into the outcome where you generate revenue. You make something that makes sense. Economy wants it, people wants it, we know how to use it. Everybody's happy.
So let's go into like a scenario. You're a deep thinker. I know this, and you've thought about this. You have these frameworks that you've been working on for, I think, 20 plus years, right? That you've been working on these
Yep,
frameworks. So when you go into a client, you have the ThinkScale methodology.
correct.
And so, what would be a typical scenario where they say, "Hey, Anna, I think you should come in and talk to us"? Give us an example of that. You got a couple examples. Let's start with one, and then tell us how you use your ThinkScale methodologies break down so they can say, "Oh, yeah, I get it. This is what we need to do."
Yeah.
Am I hearing you right on that one?
Yeah, and actually,
Yeah.
let me start reverse a little bit by
Yeah.
starting about methodology because it's pretty simple. We're
Okay.
all
Let's
about
do that.
assessing. The ThinkScale methodology is around 4 steps. It's
Okay.
assess, design, realize, evolve. So we want to first of all assess to understand where the business is at and where they're going, what they want to achieve. Then once we understand that, then we can actually create, design a solution,
Yep.
operational model, whatever that might be. And then we can actually get into the implementation. So I'm not looking to provide another PowerPoint to my customers. I'm looking to actually work
No.
with them, right? Step by step, how to make it happen and bring it to life. And then the other thing too, I'm looking to become a strategic advisor to them that we can evolve together.
Mhm.
So because transformation is not a one done deal. It's, to be honest with you, it's a story along everyone's lives. We're transforming and changing always, right? It's just the reality of so much technology innovation that's driving it at the level that technology is evolving faster than the organizations can adapt it, right? So then
Yes.
you have to dive deep into how it's impacting the organization and where at which points so that you can create a very zoomed in type of solutions to help them align the right pieces to the organizations to the outcome that they're looking for. And the methodology that each and every one of those 4 steps, we have a 7D, 7 dimensional framework. I'm not going to dive into the detail of the framework, but all I will tell you is that it goes all the way from the purpose, it's starting as to why you even want to do what you're doing in each and
Uh,
every one of those stages on the methodology, to how to make it happen and actually materialize the outcome you're looking for. And the goal of that methodology, or I should say the driver, was the fact that so many projects in my 20 years of consulting I have seen failed. And
yeah.
one of the main questions, I know that I'm not the only one, many executives really ask, well, what is that I've done that didn't get to where I was looking for? Why did we fail? It's
Digital transformation, it's mostly failure. Stats
AI.
say.
Yeah, look
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
stats of
But
AI.
go ahead. Yeah.
But that's the reality of it, is that we created the 70 methodology, the research into that now framework was to create something that, and I hate the word guarantee, but let's just put it here in this context, is that you guarantee the result, that if you're looking for this outcome and
Yeah.
you've gone through this framework, you will 100% get there.
It's
That being said, this is the methodology, this is the framework. And then diving into an example, I actually like AI these days. I always mention too that if you really want to see the impact of AI, maybe even the right way of doing it and how it impact the businesses, the best industry to keep your eye on over the next decade is healthcare.
yeah.
Healthcare
That's a good
is
one.
complex, right? No doubt about it. It's got the patients, it's got the payers, it's got the providers, it's got the data governance, security, it has the workforce shortages, it's got the rising costs, it has technology innovations on the top of that. And what had one of our customers came to us with, the ask was around AI being implemented within like a cost piece and looking into the cost efficiencies, starting from more of like a data transformation and then including that or wrapping into some AI tool. But diving further into this ask, if you will, with the client, we said, hold on a second. AI really is not the opportunity here. AI is more, I would say, of a catalyst to a broader vision of I hate the word problem, but let's just say opportunities that it opens up for us to get to the results that we're looking for, including cost efficiency and revenue generation piece as well. So what we've done, we said, okay, how does the really AI impact the leadership on
Yeah.
this team, on
Yeah.
this organization? How does it impact workflows? How does it impact workforce? What kind of data foundation do you need for this? What type of data governance and security? How is it going to impact the patient outcome? And then ultimately making sure that we're building a financially sustainable model. So there were a number of these misalignments, but ultimately opportunities that we were able to identify and then create the solutions around it. Some of them were technology involvement, some of them not. But at the end of the day, we help executive level leaders to zoom out before they zoom in,
Yeah.
to then dive into these areas to then get the level of the outcome that they're looking for. And again, I just keep repeating this, but misalignments, it's all people, technology, business. You can break down some of them a little bit further, but people, technology, business is what we're looking for.
All right. So that's a great story. What's really interesting about this story, I want to highlight. I know that for you in that particular scenario, you were providing talent, right? And when they originally called you, I think you told me this story, correct me if I got it wrong. They were asking you about talent, and you were able to get them to see at a higher level using this ThinkScale methodology. You ended up providing talent, but you actually solved a bigger problem for them, right? Because they were able to really transform the organization. Talent was part of the solution. Did I hear that right previously?
Yes, correctly. Absolutely. And again, I will tell you even further that at times, and I find that this is our job, and that would be our
Yeah.
first job, is that when
Yeah.
the client comes with an ask, I'm not saying that I'm questioning their ask, but
Yeah.
I'm willing to dive further into understanding how they came to the ask that they're looking for. Why, if I
Yeah.
apply my own 7D methodology framework, that's what we do. We want to understand, how did you get there? What's driving even the ask that you sharing versus just taking the order, so to speak, and then running with it.
Yeah.
Along jumping off of that quickly into another example here, that similar but different industry, that would be actually on
Okay.
the retail side, and that is an auto parts organization. And they came with the ask that, hey, we really need organizational transformation. We need like a COO level. We're a 2, 3 year business. We're
Yeah.
continuing to grow. And what the ask was is to get them the personal, so like that human capital solution for
Yeah.
a COO, let's say, level of an individual. Further diving into it, that we realized that it's not the operational system that was off, if you will. They were ready for the next step and growth related.
Yeah.
And that was creating the design for commercialization, capital readiness, investor piece, and including the delivery, including the organizational structure, which human capital was a part of it. So the first job for us is to understand what the reason, what's driving the ask our customers are framing in front of us, and then making sure that we're actually solving the right problem for them, if you will, right? Maybe it's bigger than what they've seen, and we help them to identify the true opportunities in front of them to get to the results that they're looking for.
So that's an example of an auto parts company that said, hey, we need to make some changes. And they thought the original answer, we need a COO. And you came in again with your methodology and said, okay, why do you need a COO? And it turned out, if I'm hearing you correctly, they needed a new business process, which
Well,
involved the COO at the end of the day to manage it. But you really helped them create a new business process through your methodology. Is that right?
correct. Before the COO, we came in as an advisor, a strategic
Yeah.
advisor, created a number of paths that they needed. Again, it was commercializing because they are ready for growth. As the investment that they were looking to come in would hit their bank account, so to speak, they would need to then evolve 2 more additional streamlines of revenue generation because they were only on the marketplaces. Now they were looking to add direct presence and branding and so on and so forth. So there was a design around commercialization system. system. There was design around capital readiness. Like, are we ready once the money hit the
Yeah.
bank, that we are ready, we know what we're going to do with it,
Yeah.
that we are investor ready. For example, how do we need to package for the investors and so on and so forth. And then at the end of the day, that we're ready for that growth, that once the money hit the bank, we have an hour streamline of the revenue. It's all hunky-dory. Everything is working. The supply chain, the transportation, there are some shipping costs or a piece operational model more associated with it, that we've got everything working. In the process of that, the CEO would come in, but not only. It defined other roles, that organizational structure. What I meant is that there's a number of different functions that they actually would need. So we're almost, as we foresee and created a specific plan if, when, and how things will hit, versus just, again, taking the order, find us the CEO and run with it.
Yeah. That's great. So I really like what you do for these clients. Like you said, you're not just an order taker, you're coming in and you're providing strategic advice and structure for them to really reach bigger goals. And if I go back to your original statement, the world is complex, you're helping them come up with a new business process in this case that really probably accomplished way more than they were originally thinking when they started, because they were just thinking, oh, we need a COO to do this thing. And you helped them really define the problem and the process before they even brought the COO on.
Correct. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we find that maybe when I talk about the complexity
Yeah.
of the world, right? And the fact sometimes we feel like maybe the world just going too fast, too chaotic, too
Get
this
used
and
to
that.
that.
Right? Exactly. We're trying to say is like, all right, we want to make sure that we foresee and structure it, that the complex is not going to change. It's the
Yeah.
reality that we're all going to live in. But how can we actually break it down that you clearly know not only what you're doing today, but what's the next step? And as I've mentioned to you, our final stage of the methodology is evolve, right? So as a
Yeah.
strategic partner, we're looking to continue grow with you, that we're the next transformation. We already a few steps ahead know what's coming and how we can create the best solution for it. Now, I also realize that none of us have a crystal ball, right?
Yeah.
And you got to be able to adjust along the way. Actually, funny enough, maybe with all the AI transformations that we're doing, part of a great statement that I've heard, which is probably none of us would want to be in the real life in it, is that we're building the plane while flying it. But at times, we got to understand that's the reality and the complexity of the reality that we're dealing with. But even if that's the case and we're building the plane while flying it, I want to make sure I know what's coming next. Am I working on the engine, or that's coming as before I'm on the ground?
Yeah.
Is the wings are going to be required a month from now? So that's where we come in as a partner to the executive level organizations. And I will give you another quick maybe example to this, is that there's also, we're partnering with a great organization
Yeah.
that brings a technological innovation and technological resolution, if you will, into the evolving industry, into tokenization. I know some of the folks may have heard about it, but that is the company that has the technology. So technology wasn't the ask or the question. They already had what it takes in the
So this is
industry.
a new scenario. You've got a company that is helping big financial organizations with, which I know is a big underlying current that's happening. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And when they came into the picture, they were asking for a director of business development,
Yeah.
as an example. And
Yeah.
another part of the ask was what the major bottleneck for growth for the organization is the educating of the customers. So we actually created, not only just I said, here's the director of business development for you, but we created the infrastructure for the commercialization, basically commercialization model. How do we form strategic partnerships in this industry? How are we ready for the delivery once these clients start hitting the bank? And then as we talk about the educating of the customers, what does
Yeah.
that mean? Once we create this pipeline of people, how do we make sure that we are, again, taking care of them every step of the way? Nobody wants to do these things alone. Who do you partner? Who going to be your friends are, that's got the name, if you will, in the industry, right? And ready to be with you in this strategic effort. So again, it's diving into understanding where that maybe a misalignment is taking place,
Yeah.
how we can cure that, what's the solution to it. Let's design the blueprint, then let's implement it. And I'm sure they adjust some things along the way as we're getting the market feedback, and then ultimately hit that milestone. And then what are we ready next? And then we already usually know that in advance, so we can evolve.
Okay. They came to you and said, hey, we need a development executive. And you used your process. Okay, let's step back. Let's see if that's really what you need or if there's a deeper issue, right?
Mhm.
And so you use your process. And I know we've talked about this one also before. You actually helped them create not only the role, but you created a more of an operating environment design for revenue, right?
So they had in place one of the results of our analysis and
Yeah,
assessment was that they had a chief revenue officer, they had a
yeah,
chief marketing officer,
yeah,
and they were looking for the director of business development that would more looking into building the deals actually, right? Going
yeah,
after maybe the pipeline that they've got and so on and so forth. And they were going meanwhile through the CRM change and all, right? All these different pieces that you identify along the way. Ultimately, it wasn't about just driving the revenue and closing the deal.
yeah,
You would be, as the part of this organization, creating a commercialization model. So what does it mean? That means who your strategic partners are, where they're at, how do you communicate with the market? Okay, we're going to educate the market. Well, that's great. And actually had, as a matter of fact, they had a technological solution to educate about the industry. They do have that as of right now. But even if we form the workshops and roundtables, how are we going to register those people? How are we going to track them, right? So all of this go to market strategy, that was part of the system and the solution that were created. But then who's going to carry out? How big of a team and at what increments will we need them? What's going to be the KPIs of these people that will be starting today, tomorrow, whatever days from now, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, we created actually kind of like a bridge, if you will, between the
yeah.
revenue and the marketing in the form of the commercialization system and broke down into monthly increments of the KPIs and revenue generated that will be achieved. Specifically, actually tied to even the goal, like a target goal deal number that they need to achieve at the end of the plan that we're going through.
So you're giving people not only a vision, but an operational roadmap
Absolutely.
to actually get whatever these big projects need. Well, this has been great. You've given us some really three tangible examples of how you came in and did this. You used your strategic analysis, you use your framework to say, hey, here's the bigger picture. And you not only gave them the talent, but you helped them define, in this case, an operational roadmap so that talent could step in and actually have success, right?
Correct.
And the team could work together. That's been great. How do people know when to contact you? Like, what are the scenarios or situation where someone should say, hey, let's call Anna and have her come in and her team come in, and maybe this think scale process is for us?
I would say it's in any type of, and again, it may sound like at all times, right? But anytime an organization is going
Yeah,
through transformation
yeah,
on people level, and again, people to me is your leadership. How is it impacting the leadership? Maybe that's where we start before it hits the rest of the organization.
yeah,
And then obviously all the employees within the company. So that's your people, that's your human capital. Then you've got technology, right? So whenever the company is going through some level of a
yeah,
transformational change in the technology, but especially when you're not finding that it hits the ROI, right? And again, on the human capital, on the technology. And then when you go into the business level, again, are we happy that we're understanding our customers, how they're evolving, how they're changing,
yeah,
and what they need our product and services to change? And then as well as our investors, right? Are we understanding what they're ready to spend their dollars on and how they're ready to invest into once we have the next greatest idea? So once you know that there's any of these changes taking place within an organization, and I know that I've mentioned right now things that happens to any organization at any given moment, but that's when you're ready to say, okay, who's going to help me to solve that? And that would be the partnership with ThinkScale at the advisory level.
that's great. I think you offer a unique service. They may initially think of you as let's get the talent, but you really what you're doing is you're giving them this strategic advice on these major challenges that they have. Like you said, the world is complicated, and you've given us three tangible examples where you've taken that what looked like an initial talent scenario for leadership, and it really was what was uncovering the deeper issue, right? Like, hey, you don't just need a business development executive. You need to make sure that your operational design of what you're selling is here so someone can come in and succeed. That's what you actually gave them. You
Right.
gave them a true plan, an operational design or a roadmap that they could have, like you said, almost like a chief revenue officer would have. Hey, here's our process for developing revenue. That's great. So Anna, it's great having you involved. And I really appreciate, obviously, I'm interested in all these topics, but the tokenization one's got very intriguing. So maybe we'll do a special report or something on one of our webinars just about what's going on in the financial markets with tokenization. That would be fun. We'd love to see you there. So thanks for being part of our community. Thanks for being our board advisors and welcome to the group. And everybody feel free to reach out to Anna.
Thank you.